See how thick that fog is up there? Oh my goodness gracious. I'm not kidding. Look at it. Look at that. It's like a thing right out of a John Carpenter movie. It's like, oh, that's how thick the fog is this morning. Now, I'm here in a parking lot. Those back roads were just fun to drive on this morning. But good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing? Um, yeah, Chibnall in the interviews this week, he really did not hold back on anything. He said, "Look, I almost quit in 2020, and it's like because of the COVID stuff going on." But he said if he hadn't already agreed to do 3 years or 3 seasons with Jody, he probably would have. And you know what? I don't blame him one bit. If I was him, I would have walked out of there a long time ago. Because apparently we've got a number of folks out there who seem to think they know what's good for you to see. They think they should dictate what a show should be all about. And I'm like, with Doctor Who, you can't do that. I was in a podcast once a while back. It's funny how things got run around on that one. I won't even talk about that one on the air. Because I don't hold back on these things. Because I when I smell bull, I'm sorry, bullshit. I'm sorry, I don't let it go. Somebody actually tried to say there should be a certain guideline established that no one could touch and blah blah blah. And I'm like, if that was true, then there'd been a whole lot of things that happened since this show came back that would not have happened. Well, you're saying a lot of the fans hate the Timeless Child story arc. How do you know that? Because here's the thing. We're on social media now. Everybody comes out and they say, well, everybody knows, and this is my favorite generalization of them all, that all of the fans just hate, blah, blah, blah. Or I've got so many fans that hate blah, blah, blah. You're going to hear that from every channel who didn't like it. Yet, meanwhile, they watched every episode. Go figure. Here's the thing about the whole Timeless Child story arc, and I wish people would get this straight. This can all be rewritten with a stroke of a pen. I don't know why. Like I said, the one thing I did disagree with was bringing Tech Tayun back in Flux. Because, you see, I would have left it vague. This way, everybody would be debating about this for a billion years. I wouldn't have had Tech Tayun confirm it at all. But the thing is, like I said, I don't blame Chibnall for wanting to get out, because you've seen, it's literally like that line out of Dark Knight. You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And the same things happened with RTD. The same thing happened with Stephen Moffat. Everybody wanted to just touch themselves in funny places and wiggle their wieners when Moffat came in. And then all of a sudden, by the time it was over, they're like making threats against him and his family. No, I'm just, don't worry, Who's Books. I know where you're coming. I'm just saying that there's a lot of that going around. I'm just trying to make a thing, about generalizations is all. Don't worry about it. It's just reminding me of something I heard. But the thing is, like I said, you'll notice, like even Moffat said, Doctor Who has literally become a poison chalice. Nobody wants it. And everyone's like, well, my favorite one I keep hearing, and I hear this from people all the time, that RTD was called back to save the show. And I'm like, really? He was? How do you know that? Have you seen any documents? Where was this big Doctor Who's dying thing other than on YouTube channels? Ugh. Also, if somebody showed me an article from the Daily Star, and I get a laugh when I read these things, about Doctor Who and it's her lead companion, yes, are going to engage in a lesbian relationship. And I'm like, and what's the big deal? I'm like, but anything for a headline, I guess, you know. Or I'm loving how they call it a queer relationship. I've been noticing that one going around too, and I'm like, that's just a word I haven't associated with, you know, leave it lesbian, gay, bisexual, all that. So I haven't heard that word queer associated with that front in a while. I don't know. Maybe it's just me or the circles I walk in. I don't know. So it was kind of weird to hear that, a queer relationship, you know, because okay, that I did miss. If you got a link to that picture, or you can send it to me somehow, or put it, you know, Peter Capaldi and Rachel Talalay in the UK. Okay, that one I did miss. Okay, queer is an umbrella instead of saying all the letters. Okay. Oh, all right, because I just never, I haven't heard that word used in that sense in a while. Maybe it's just me, you know. Because to me, queer always meant strange. Queer was always like, I don't see that as being strange. That's just modern life. Ugh. I'm just glad it didn't turn out the Master was the timeless child, but it would explain why the Master keeps coming back. Okay, it's the modern term. Okay, so what was old has now been made new again. All right, because okay, do I think Star Trek has jumped the shark? I couldn't tell you. I just think that one episode, like I said, I'm not going to stop watching Picard, but come on, you're infested by the Borg Queen, so you're going to belt out an '80s tune in 40 noir style, like Postmodern Jukebox. All the musicians are going to know what the hell you're singing, especially when you're not singing it in the traditional sense. So now you're assuming every one of those musicians knows the sheet music for Shadows of the Night, especially in that particular style. And you see, there's suspension of disbelief, and then there's silly. And to me, that whole, you know, Doctor What's Her Name singing that out of nowhere as a distraction. Yeah, Borg nanoprobes now can give you the spotlight. And also the way she was interacting with the Borg Queen, it just was seemed to me like it was a total rip off of Farscape and Scorpius. I'm not kidding. If anybody remembers that little bit of a timeline there where John Crichton had Scorpius in his head and he kept imagining him, and they'd have these that's what it was. And it's like when you're starting to reuse tropes from previous series, that makes me worry very badly. Because, well, the thing is this: Picard is getting a series 3, which will be its last. I think everybody but Will Wheaton's going to be in it, because he was making comments about that the other day about, you know, how he wasn't going to be in Picard. So I don't think I don't yeah. So I know they've got like everybody and their grandmother from the original the Trek TNG cast coming back for that. So it's going to be interesting to see how that works out and all that. And what Enterprise are they on now? That's one ship I'm shocked they have not shown in Picard. And I think it's because they're afraid of screwing up the timeline, like they've done a billion times before. Because when Picard left, they were already on the Enterprise E. And we know we've seen the Enterprise J in a flash forward in Star Trek Enterprise. Yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, you're right. It could be, maybe it's an alternative universe that leaked into ours. Yeah, there were parts about Enterprise I liked, but there were parts about Enterprise I didn't. Okay, for the most part, I enjoyed the characters. Um, but like I said, it was Rick Berman rewriting original Trek in his image. He didn't like Star Trek, the original series, so he rolled out Enterprise as an attempt to rewrite it. The uniforms were too close to modern. All they did was for the Enterprise ship was they took one of the newer models, flipped it over, and stuck some Tubi stuff on it and stuff like that. That's all it was. And I always love Scott Bakula in anything he's in. Yeah, I agree with you. You could even say that the Timeless Child thing is something that bled over from another universe. See what I mean? It's like any showrunner can step in there and rewrite this in any way they want. That's why I don't know why people are having a fit over it. Um, or as Chibnall said in another article, he expects RTD will probably ignore most of the stuff he did. Like, one of my favorite things in the world is, and this is what another quote unquote Chibnall complaint, he destroyed Gallifrey. Gallifrey was destroyed in the first place when we came back in 2005, and nobody really missed it. Okay? And the way RTD did bring it back in his tenure and End of Time, he did it in such a way that it wasn't going to have a major impact on the, they were still locked in the Time War, and whatever you want to call it. Then, for some crazy reason, Moffat decides to resurrect them. Oh, that's right, for the quote-unquote 8th anniversary special, aka, Error of the Zygons, or Dump of the Doctor, or whatever you want to call it. I will never like that episode, sorry. It was, God, they complained about Chibnall's writing? Goodness gracious, that thing had more MacGuffins in it than, I said, I'm not going to get on that rant again. Yeah, you're referring to All Good Things, which was the final episode of TNG, and that was back in '94, I believe. Um, but like I said, I'm not going to stop watching it. I still like watching Picard. It's just that last number, I was like, threw me for a loop. I'm like, really? That was the best you could come up with? It's like, why not just have her do a burlesque show while you're at it? Ugh. Well, folks, I just looked at the clock. It is that time. I have to get running. Yeah, you could do that too. Yeah, I agree with that last statement there. Yeah, you can do that too. Say it was all an alternative timeline. Okay, well, I got to get running, folks. I just looked at the time. So please take care, everyone. Wait, RTD wanted to do what? RTD was not happy with bringing Gallifrey back. I don't know what drugs everybody's on about that. He was not happy with Moffat for doing that. Yeah, it royally pissed him off for a long time. He did not want Gallifrey back in the timeline at all. I don't know where that story is coming from. Well, okay, I got to get going. I just looked at the time. You're not going to get me started on that. No, you won't. I have given it up. I have let it go. All right. Be kind, everybody. Be calm. Be safe. But above all, everything else, please be kind today. Take care, everyone. And hopefully we'll see you all in the future. Have a good one. And it's that button.